Parents of Reddit, what secret do you know about your kids that they don't know that you know? My 9-year-old son has started to search for girls taking jeans off on YouTube. I also found out he has a type by his latest search of brown girls taking jeans off. As a little girl, I'd always be fast asleep when we pulled into our driveway late at night after being out as a family. My father would unbuckle me and scoop me up to bring me inside. By the time I was 5, I was often awake when we pulled in, but I'd pretend to be asleep because I loved the comfort of being pulled into my dad's arms and whisked into the house. Once, when I was probably near 6 years old, my dad did his ritual extraction of the kid from the back seat, and he leaned over and whispered tenderly in my ear, "I know what you're doing, and this is the last time." Edit, a life update. I'm 4 days overdue with kid number 2, and my dad is an incredibly present grandfather with my daughter, who adores him in return. A few nights ago we reminisced about this story, as he carried my 2-year quietly to bed, nestled on his shoulder. My 5-year-old daughter won't tell me the name of her boyfriend at YMCA day camp because it's a secret. But I know the kid's name is Jordan, the camp counselor told me. I found the box of Girl Guide cookies that my 8-year-old daughter had taken from our pantry and put in one of her toy boxes. I didn't give her shit about it, just took them back and ate them all. That my 5-year-old knows how to get in the Oreo jar every night after bedtime. He grabs one for his little brother. He also checked with me to make sure don't count the Oreos before I put them in the jar. My parents always knew when my siblings would sneak out, and we could never figure out how they knew. One time my brother was an idiot and got caught sneaking out of a window from our basement. It was winter. They left footprints. Every sleepover we had, my mom would take a picture of everyone's shoes that night before bed. If they had changed overnight, she knew they snuck out. She would only tell us once we'd all moved out. I know my daughter had an abortion. She's 21, still on my health insurance, still lives at home, helps out with some bills. And I generally pay all the medical bills for all my kids right now. I don't open mail addressed to my kids, unless it's a medical bill. So without realizing it, I opened a receipt that the clinic sent her. It was fully paid and clearly used the word abortion. I don't judge her for it, but she clearly didn't want me to know, so I didn't say anything. My son thinks his bedwetting episodes were a secret between his mom and himself. Fact is, I was aware of it every time. There's this sock under the bed. She isn't really crying because she misses her orange plastic dinosaur that was lost a year ago. She's crying because she's tired and doesn't want to admit it. But we always have a very serious conversation about the impermanence of material items. I know my 3-year-old daughter wakes up every morning, finds my stash of blue raspberry bonbons, and eats one before breakfast. Just the one? That's a lot of self-control for a 3-year-old. You've got a smart one there. Devious, but smart. Once my older brother spent 10 minutes trying to show me how to open the door just right so it wouldn't make a sound and you could sneak out to smoke weed without our parents knowing. He didn't believe me when I told him they knew, so at dinner I said, "Hey Dad, you know Jeff smokes in the backyard, right?" He laughed and said, "Yeah, he sneaks through the garage." When I was about 8 or 9, I hated corn and would only eat it if it was on the cob. After months of shoveling loose corn into my pockets at the dinner table and burying it inside of the "I can't finish any more" mashed potatoes, my mother had confronted me. I went to go to the bathroom to empty my pockets into the toilet immediately after dinner, as I always did when we had canned corn, and my mom goes, "Stop right there." I was turning the hallway corner to go into the bathroom, and I remember literally freezing like it was a game of red light, green light. And she walks over and she goes, "Can you do me a favor and empty your pockets?" And all I heard was my dad chuckling from the kitchen. Mom wasn't too pleased. My toddler thinks she's invisible when she hides behind the curtains or inside her closet. Our curtains are not that thick, and we usually hear giggling from the closet. We usually pretend we can't see her and wonder out loud where she could possibly be. I know you never wash your hands after using the bathroom, unless we remind you. I heard my 10-year-old nephew yelling at his little brothers because they were threatening to tell their mom that he kissed a girl behind the dumpsters at the pool. I know that my daughter knows that Santa doesn't exist. She still plays me every Christmas for what she wants from Santa. Message for kids still in school, especially adolescents. You don't know how loud you are. Even if you think you're whispering, you're probably not. Teachers hear way more than you'd probably be comfortable with, and definitely more than we're comfortable with. I know my nephew's dated a few girls. Cannot blame him for not telling us. Slipped it into a convo that I don't introduce anyone I'm dating to family unless I think it's going to be a long-term thing. He seemed relieved. Think I gave him confirmation his secret was fine to keep secret. My 14-year-old left his phone at home recently. I never felt the need to scroll through it, but I figured I should just to make sure things were good with everything. One of his best friends was telling him that she stole some of her sister's weed stash and was wondering if he wanted to come over the next day and smoke it with her. His response was, "No thanks, and I don't think you should do it either." I was so proud of him. I wanted to give him a big hug and tell him how proud I was, but I didn't want him to know I was looking at his stuff. So instead, I decided we would do a surprise ice cream trip, and when he asked for a double scoop, I said yes. I know in the grand scheme of things, a little weed isn't bad, and I know at some point in his life he'll try it, but I'm not ready for him to do that kind of stuff yet. My son is 4. He still thinks he is invisible when he covers himself with a blanket. Our whole family has made a pact to act like he is. Things should be interesting in a few years. My sister smokes weed, but only does it in the bathroom, so all her kids think the weed smell is actually her shit. When I was a kid, I used to pretend I couldn't sleep without the TV on. Really, I just wanted to stay up an extra hour so I could watch my 2 favorite shows, X-Men Evolutions and Justice League. I thought I was so clever. Recently, I brought it up with my mom, and she said, "I know. That's why I always set your bedtime an hour before I actually wanted you to be asleep." I was absolutely shook. That when my daughter was 5 or 6 years old, she would look up videos of dogs throwing up or stallions taking a piss based on her YouTube history. I never directly spoke to her about this, but have always told her that she can always talk to me about any questions she had about any subject with no judgment from me. She's 14 now, and I still haven't said a word. Thanks for watching. Now tell us your story below, and don't forget to check out our other videos.